Hey guys, today I'm here with Rowan because I had an opportunity to get back to London before I'm going to be traveling for a while. So I thought we could make a video about coming out, just so that people know. How do you identify with your gender identity and sexual orientation and all that?
So my gender identity is cisgendered female, and my sexuality is queer. I kind of around the sort of gay, lesbian was something I used to identify as, but now I'm kind of settled in queer.
And how would you define queer for people who aren't sure exactly what that means?
So I think that queer in and of itself is sort of defies definition as kind of part of its definition in a way. So for me personally, I feel comfortable with it because it doesn't feel as limiting, and also it has a political aspect of it where it is positioning itself directly against kind of heteronormativity, and because it's part of my identity that I do see as something that is involved within activism and politics in various ways. I like that there's a word that encompasses not just Rowan likes women, but all those kind of other influences that come into my sexuality.
Did you have one specific coming out moment, or how did that work?
So, no. I had a number of amusing coming out instances. I was saying to Justin earlier that the pivotal coming out experience that a lot of people have, I genuinely don't remember. So coming out to parents, I genuinely cannot remember coming out to my parents.
So funny.
They know, they definitely know, but I have no idea how that actually even happened. First person I came out to was at a cast party, which if you're familiar with theatre, or I suppose sports teams and stuff like that, you'll know the feeling of being really, really close to people in this strange kind of bubble where almost anything can happen when you're together. It's really strange. And so I just felt when I was 16, I was like, I can totally do this. I can just say this to this girl and it's cool, and it's not going to be this really serious, dramatic kind of big deal. It's just going to be something that happens at this fun house party, basically. So yeah, I told her, and then just under a year afterwards, told the rest of my friends at school, or I thought I had, and then it turned out that what I thought was them being really chill and not mentioning it and just not making a big deal was actually them not having realised that I'd come out to them, because I think I said something along the lines of so I fancied a girl, or one of those things. So I didn't actually say the words I am gay or queer. And it wasn't until about 6 months later on MSN Messenger when I made a similar comment to a friend, and she basically was just like, wait, what? Double take. And then I had to sort of kind of anticlimactically come out to all of those friends again, and they just take the piss out of me for it from then on.
That's amazing. Just whoops, I didn't already tell you guys.
Sorry, I thought it was obvious. And I was saying that my grandma was one that I didn't come out to, but my basically she kind of asked, oh, do you have a boyfriend, Rowan? Just as me and my dad were leaving to go to the shops, and I was kind of no, because I wasn't really sure at that point. I knew she would be totally fine with it, but I was we're literally about to go to Asda. I feel now's not the time for this conversation. And my dad was kind of trying not to laugh in the background of this scene. And then he basically says, Rowan, go out to the car, I'm just gonna get something. I leave, go to the car, wait 2 minutes. My dad kind of comes swaggering out of the house, and I'm just what have you done, father? And he sits down in the car and he looks at me and just goes, don't worry, Rowan, I set her straight for the most part. Otherwise it's just been as soon as I meet someone, I'm just boom.
Hi, Rowan, I'm queer.
Yeah, essentially.
Is coming out kind of a single event that people have and then it's done, or do you think it's more of an ongoing process?
Definitely ongoing process, I think, for sure, because even if you gathered every single person that you'd ever met and you ever would meet into a room, and over a tannoy system was I'm gay, and they all heard at the same moment, you would still have had a coming out process prior to that when you came out to yourself. So obviously the gathering everyone in the stadium and telling them all at once isn't going to happen. So you were always going to have, even if you decide I'm going to come out to everyone I know right now, you're going to tell them even on different days, in different ways possibly. But then every single new person that you meet, it's going to be an experience of, am I going to come out to them? How do I come out to them? When do I come out to them? Yeah,
the meeting new people and having to decide if you come out to them or not is the weirdest thing for me, because even if you meet someone for 2 minutes, if they use the wrong pronoun or something, it's do you bother like spending the time to correct them for that if you're like never gonna see them again? Or do you like just kind of go through life getting misgendered? Like it's a weird situation to be in when you're just like every person you meet you have to come out again, you know?
Yeah, and this, we were saying earlier that the coming out with gender identity and coming out with sexuality are kind of different experiences and different decisions to be made often, because you have this immediacy with gender identity where it's immediately assumed and very openly assumed, whereas I feel like sexuality is sort of quietly assumed. Like people will just assume, and you won't know that they've assumed because it's very unlikely to come up, but you just know that they are seeing you in a way that you don't identify and that you aren't, and that they've kind of misinterpreted a very key part of your identity for a lot of people. When you're doing gender identity, it's almost kind of like this passive coming out in a way, because it's someone else has brought it up and then you have to kind of like correct and go back and correct them. Whereas with sexuality, it's like, okay, am I that person who just brings it up when no one's mentioned it and it's just kind of like, by the way guys, just gonna point out I'm gay because I know none of you were thinking that.
So how do you deal with it personally? Like when you meet a new person and they assume, like they ask, do you have a boyfriend? Or like they assume in some way that you like exclusively like men. How do you deal with that?
Immediately correct them, always. I don't go to bars or clubs often, and if I do, it won't be straight bars or clubs. So I'm very unlikely to be in a situation around someone where it might be dangerous in that way for me to come out to them. So a straight guy who's drunk in a club and who's trying to kind of approach you. I have had straight guys approach me in like daylight, and I felt comfortable at that point to still come out to them, but they've still kind of like stepped into my space and been like propositioned me for a threesome and like followed me and stuff like that, even during the day. So I definitely do understand that for a lot of people that's just not something that they feel safe doing. But I think the internet is probably the unsafe space in which I've come out, because I do get a lot of homophobia, a lot of misogynistic comments, and a lot of like other kind of abusive messages around topics that I talk about online that I haven't really had, especially at the volume offline when I've come out to people.
You're kidding. But in general, when you like meet someone, you can just come out to them pretty easily right away.
Yeah, so it's because it is something I find important, because I have had situations where I haven't come out to people, where I've kind of like not mentioned it, and then I've been kind of invested in that relationship and in that friendship, and then it's come out that they are homophobic, and I don't want to be going, I don't have the time and the energy and resources and like joy and happiness and friendship to like pour into someone who's going to turn around and just have a complete contempt or disrespect for who I am afterwards. I'd much rather get it out there so that I can essentially know who is not immediately going to discount me 6 months down the line when it does come out.
Yeah, you know, that's a funny point. Like I have done that before, where I meet someone and I just kind of like mention something about like someone gay or trans in the news and just kind of like see what their reaction is, and I'm like, would it be okay to come out to them?
To be honest, I think that's something that most people will have done, and a lot of people will do that to parents. That's like a tactic that I've always seen people. I've never had to do that because my parents, I have an older sibling who's gay, and so I always kind of knew how they felt about it, but I know a lot of people who have slipped in sort of like a newspaper article that's come up with this celebrity has come out, and they've been like, oh, have you seen this? To kind of gauge reactions, and I think that's definitely something that people have done.
Do you think all queer people experience some kind of coming out in like one way or another?
Yeah, I think definitely, because even if you decide to never mention it to anyone else and you stay in the closet, as the term goes, you will still have essentially come out to yourself in some way. And I think that I think that there's like a real lack of emphasis on that. I think a lot of people assume that you just know suddenly, it just pops up, and the real struggle is telling other people, and I really don't think that's the case. I think a lot of people, the real struggle is admitting it to themselves or coming to grips with other aspects of our identity and their sexuality or gender identity. So yeah, I think that absolutely that is an experience one way or another that people have in common. How that happens and manifests itself is different, but I do think that is something that's like a unique experience. When you see kind of growing up narratives of like young people, you so often have the coming out story because it is this unifying event in a similar way that straight kids might have like the prom in all of their high school movies, or like
the prom.
Yeah. It's like, it's that kind of thing where it's like, oh yeah, this is the thing that we all identify with.
Do you think people with a platform like YouTubers or celebrities have some kind of responsibility to come out, or are in some way obligated to come out?
No, personally. I think that it can be just monumentally helpful and incredible and affirming for people who look up to them when they come out and are open and discuss things like that. But it isn't an obligation by any stretch of the imagination. I think for everyone, regardless of whether they're in the spotlight or not, coming out is a very personal process, and it needs to be done at your speed, and it needs to be, because it needs to be something that ultimately is for you, and it's the thing that's going to make you happiest and most comfortable, not something that you feel kind of pressured into by other people.
Do you have any advice for queer youth who like haven't come out yet, or maybe haven't figured out how they identify yet?
Hey, queer youth who haven't come out or are not sure how they identify, here's my advice. It's fine. It's okay. Don't feel like this is something you have to rush into. Don't feel like this is something that you have to pin down and then that's you forever. Like, we are complex beings. We change, we shift. The way that we think about ourselves will change and shift, and that is totally fine. Do not feel like you have to know everything about yourself and pin yourself down, and only then can you sort of talk to people about this thing that you've discovered about yourself. It's all great. Do it when you feel comfortable. This ultimately is a thing that you should do for yourself to be just the like most happy, comfortable person that you can be. And if it isn't the right time, absolutely fine. If those aren't the right people to come out to, don't come out to them yet, or even ever. This is about you, basically. This is something that you can be completely selfish with, and no one will blame you, and just do whatever's gonna make you the happiest and safest person that you can be right now. And if it is that you have to wait, you have to wait, and you can just stick on in there and just know that at some point you're gonna be in a place or in a situation where you can open up and kind of blossom into that happiness that you know is going to come for you.
Alright, so that's everything I had. Be sure to go on over to Rowan's channel. I'll put one of them card thingies over here to her channel, and also it'll be the first link down in the description. She does really wonderful videos about sexual orientation, gender identity, kind of queerness, and intersectional feminism in general, and a lot of looks at different kinds of media and film. And it's just a really lovely channel with a lot of really great ideas. So please head over there. Thank you so much for watching this video. I love you all so much. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next week. Okay, bye!